My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine from Willow Healing, and today I have with me the beautiful Anastasia Girali. And she is the creator of alignment therapy, which is a groundbreaking method that integrates somatic and emotional healing, psycho-spiritual alignment, and brain repatterning. Her approach combines the best of psychological practices with a faith-based spiritual framework, offering a unique path to deep transformation. As a teacher and mentor, she trains other healers through her alignment therapy certification, helping them embody and share the powerful modality with their communities. So a big welcome to the show, Anastasia.
Hi, Catherine. So happy to be here.
And wow, how did the alignment therapy get born? What was the
Mm.
inspiration?
Oh, my own healing journey. It wasn't something that was planned, that's for sure.
Never is.
Um, no, it never is. The best things never are. And it was really through um, many years of my own personal healing and working with other great, phenomenal teachers and healers and mentors that I finally decided to actually study and become a clinical hypnotherapist, which I absolutely loved. Hypnotherapy has saved my life and changed my life. And then because was already coaching people, there were a lot of kind of downloads and a lot of further development and let's say recalibration of my gifts that would lead to me creating my own modality, which is alignment hypnotherapy and alignment hypno breathwork. So I just label them alignment therapy together. The hypnotherapy allows us to work on a mental and emotional level, whereas the alignment hypno breathwork allows us to work on the somatic and energetic level. So under the umbrella of alignment therapy, we're really getting to heal on 4 fundamental levels, which means that the healing work that we do is not only deep and transformative, but permanent as well.
Yeah, which is what you want, right? You don't want to do all the healing and regress backwards because you haven't found the underlying cause and trigger on all of those levels. So
And that's often what happens when people are on the healing journey. They get started with the best of intentions, but then they kind of get lost on that path because they're just revisiting and revisiting. You know, particularly when we're talking about trauma, it's like the same things keep coming up. That obviously indicates to me that we're not going deep enough.
yeah.
And there's a lot of spiritual bypassing that'll be like, yeah, but it's different layers and levels. Yes, but also healing has an end date. And
Exactly.
if you're not arriving there, then I would really question about how deep you're letting yourself go, and also how deep people are facilitating for you.
That's really interesting because it's funny because when I have things come back up again, instead of going, oh, here's this again, I can't believe I'm going through this again, it's like, actually, no, what's the new layer? Because that's what I feel. And it is, you know, what you were saying that if you can go down to the root cause of it, then it does shift all the other layers around it. But then sometimes our soul likes to revisit things to give us a new lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I call a pattern.
Yeah.
So if I'm repeating a pattern, for me that means that it's a lesson that I haven't learned yet. If the pattern keeps repeating itself, then there hasn't been a pattern interrupt and a new pattern kind of installed, which isn't a bad thing. I think our soul chooses the path, and we consent to it being one way or another. until we get to a point where you're like, you know what, like I'm done with this BS. I don't want to keep repeating this pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I do now is going to be permanent versus like, okay, here it is again. How do I do this again? Who do I do it with this time? um, there's a certain comfort in a pattern, right?
Yes, because it's the known, right? And that's often when that fear comes up when you step out of that, and people are like, "Oh, but it feels so scary." It's like because you're stepping into a new thing, right? It's always new. It's like I always liken it to the roller coaster, right? If you're going on a brand new roller coaster, you're excited, but you know it's going to be scary because you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it is a roller coaster, isn't it? The healing journey. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. So you then kind of become familiarized with those ups and downs, and eventually they level out and they become more ebbs and flows versus extreme highs and extreme lows.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that you brought in breath work with the hypnotherapy component as well. So, how did that evolve?
Well, the hypnotherapy on its own, as I said, it's the mental and the emotional level, but we live in a physical body, right? And nervous system regulation is such an important part of the healing journey because very often, this is one of the issues that I have with talk therapy as well, that we're doing things on a very mental level, but the nervous system is hardwired for survival, or the nervous system is hardwired to respond a certain way. So, although we cognitively understand things and cognitively have worked through things, we find that when we're triggered, it's the body that responds first, and then the brain kicks in with all the, oh, yes, this is the ABC pattern.
Yeah. And I love that you commented about talk therapy. I don't know, I'm on a run at the moment with people talking about it because a lot of people don't realize when you go to talk therapy, you keep reliving the trauma every time you talk about it because it hasn't shifted from your mind into your body where you can actually feel that emotion and feel the original emotions, like you were saying, the original cause of the events, to then shift it out of your body and out of your system. Because when you just talk about it, you're not feeling it because then you need to feel it to heal it.
Exactly. That's exactly the quotes I was going to use. Um, and I agree with you. I feel like talk therapy, because it's all done on the rational level as well. So we're just going around and around and around and almost re traumatizing ourselves, by having to relive that feeling by talking about it again, but with a different person, or talking about it again and trying to get a new perspective. It's a little bit like PTSDing yourself, if you will, because we just keep going back on this broken record without uh, without being able to, on a rational and logical level, be able to identify the root cause of it, which is so much more important than the actual event that happened itself. It's what did it mean? What's your relationship to the event? Because events happen,
Yeah.
right, all the time to everyone, and they will continue to happen. It's not as if you're going to be healed and you're never going to have an event, a traumatizing event happen to you again. But how do you respond, and how do you imprint it and attach yourself to its meaning?
Yeah, and I love what you said with imprinting because it brings up that whole like matrix and holographic templates and things like that because you know when we have an event happen it does imprint on our soul and then leaves a mark almost that we need to work through and like you were saying energetically release because it's only once you feel it you heal it but then you got to shift it and you got to bring in a new emotion because things need to be destroyed but also need to be replaced. So I feel that often people miss that component, right? Like even when I work energetically with clients, if we remove like an entity or something like that, we got to fill it with something good really quickly or the same thing's going to
The
happen.
partly void, and
Yes.
people just want it gone. So they want it gone so they can go back to the way they were. People seem to want to revert back to before the event, but as you grow, you expand and your container gets bigger, as you know. So everything that is removed needs to be replaced. We need to fill that void again.
Yeah, and if you don't fill it with something that you want, or like what you were aiming for, why you started that journey in the first place, it's going to default back to what it knows, which is what you just shifted. And then I guess that leads back to the loop of what you were talking about with the healing loop, that you just keep healing the same thing again and again and again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And isn't that just such a painful journey to have to keep looping backwards rather than spiraling upwards? That's how I like to see it. We don't want to be looping. We want to be spiraling. We want to be separating those layers of cyclical timeline.
Yeah. I love you saying that because my coach actually draws for us this cycle of moving upwards and out, like world expanding. But then he also explains when you go into a new version of yourself, you level up your next level in life, or like things are going to come back up again. But it's from, actually working on them when you're not in that, charge space, that you can do the most healing and the most ability to, when you can be neutral with it, then it's okay. It's when it still comes up and it's triggering that it's not healed yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look at that spiral timeline, as you're moving upwards and forwards, everything's feeling good, everything's feeling new, everything's feeling different. And I'm getting new information in. And then there's a part of that spiral where you're going backwards, so kind of like retrograde. And then there's a little bit of stagnation, and people get scared there. They're like, "Oh shit, am I moving backwards?" But you're never moving on the same level. You're retrograding upwards, so you're still moving upwards, and that's really the phase, like of your growth, that it's the most indicative of who you are being when things are not new and things are not shiny and sparkly and wonderful. Are you able to consistently maintain that version of you when things are going fabulous and upwards on that retrograde season? Just like when flowers are growing, there's this natural contraction that happens in the bloom when you see it in a time lapse video. They don't just bloom open and outwards. They naturally contract between those growth spurts. And that's what's happening on that timeline as well.
Yeah, and I like how you said too that you have to be consistent, because you got to keep, if you keep showing up every day and keep showing up, and this is why having like little routines for yourself and good habits are really important, because then when things are pear-shaped, you can still go back to those habits. And even if it's like, oh, I have to do my writing today or whatever it might be, and I haven't got the energy, you just try. You just try and, go, okay, I'll come back tomorrow, because you want to keep the habit going, because we're so quick as humans to default to a easier habit rather than staying in that momentum.
And the system has also been designed in such a way that it's perfectly designed to distract you.
Yes.
And to pull you off your course, isn't it? There's just so many ways today in which we can leave our good habits or good behavior behind and pursue things that are not taking us closer to who we're here to be, that are actually pulling us away from our soul path.
Yeah, doom scrolling. I know that's a big one. Even for me, I'll go onto social media and I have the intention, and I go on, I'm like, I'm going to do a post, and then I'm going to do some connections with people and check, who's messaged me or whatever it might be. And then I feel myself scrolling and I'm like, no, what am I doing? And I just pull myself back out. But it's because I've got that self-realization. But sometimes you don't. If you're not like, haven't got a good intent, and when you go on there and you're just doing it to fill time, you'll just get sucked into that doom scrolling for hours.
Absolutely. And they know what they're doing. It's designed so that it's effortless.
Yes.
It happens so automatically.
Yeah, it's the same. I heard this, I think I was listening to Atomic Habits on audiobook, and he was saying like TVs, like Netflix have designed it so that you can actually sit there and binge watch series. Whereas, when we used to have them in the DVD packs, you'd have to get up between each episode and go change the DVD. And you're like, okay, that's enough for today. It would break it up, or you'd have one episode, then have to manually go through everything. Whereas now, it's so conducive if you can sit there and binge watch something and then a whole day's gone.
Absolutely. And then, I get so many people wondering why they're not where they want to be in their life. It's like, well, have you looked at the life that you're living, the lifestyle? Does it support your soul path, or is it actually destructive of your soul path?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing, because I'm all about that too, Anastasia, which is like, well, do you have to live in that house that you're living in and work like a ridiculous amount of hours at that job just so you can pay the mortgage and not see your family? Or could you possibly sell that house, move to a smaller house, or move to a different area, and all of a sudden you can spend time with your family and not have to have all that stress of that job?
I know, and it's such an obvious choice, isn't it? But
Yes.
people don't make it.
I feel
I agree. I've had clients that say, "Oh, I want to be somewhere sunny, and I want to meet someone, and I want da 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 da." It's like, okay, well, let's look at your lifestyle, because that's one of the 4 pillars of the soul path, which I teach. And if you're living in the middle of London and you want to be somewhere sunny, you want to be like in the Mediterranean, maybe this is the big hurdle that's actually keeping you from meeting your life partner, from bringing you your life partner. So if you're waiting for the life partner in order for you to have the life dream, maybe you're fixated on the order of how things are supposed to be, versus, well, this is in my hand to do. Make a move, make a jump, whether that means working remote or a career change. So yes, you do have to give something up in order for you to gain so much more. And it's not really a sacrifice. It's I would like to say, like, it's a fair exchange, because that's the thing that you actually wanted in the first place.
Yeah. And it's courage too, right? It's the courage to go against the grain. It's courage to break out of those molds and the cultural expectations that have been pretty much programmed on us from the day that we entered this world, if not before. So it's just been taking that courage and going, okay, well, let's just take a leap and just see what happens. So yeah, you got to be brave. I know, because I'm going through that in my life at the moment. You have to be brave, but at the same time, like you said, the outcome, like the long-term outcome, far outweighs that short-term pain that you have to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it. You need to be anchored into the vision, not the things that I need to go through to get there. Stay anchored in the vision, because that's where your soul is calling you and initiating you. That's where the universe is trying to invite you to come. So stay anchored in the vision. And if you don't have a vision, then maybe it's time to work with someone to help you get more clarity on that, to teach you how to connect to your higher self, because every soul has a vision, regardless of if the human can recognize it or is fluent in that soul language yet or not. Every soul has a vision, and unfortunately the ego desires will sometimes override the soul's desires.
Well, I had an even another level of override where I had an ancestral spiritual guide kind of take over my inner voice and had his own agenda. And it was only from untangling that I sat back and actually thought, I don't actually want all of that. Where is that? That wasn't me at all. Like, it was just this weird, I have to be successful and I have to be this. But then my definition of success, which people will go, oh yeah, you have house cut. No, it's a feeling. My definition of success is peace. If I'm at peace, I know I am in my flow. I know I am making my own success how I want it to look like. I don't want this whole big like fame and recognition and all things like that. So it was really interesting going through that because I was like, I never realized that could happen. But then again, like all our kind of spiritual guides do have their own personalities and their own things that they bring. And that's why it's so important to know in your heart what you really want and you use them exactly as that, as guides, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what your human design is, Catherine?
People keep asking me this and I know and then I forget.
Just
go explain some human design while I look it up.
There's 5 human design types, and it's really a combination of numerology, Kabbalah, astrology, the Chinese Qing as well. And I find it to be really pretty accurate in terms of helping us to understand our individual essence. Because once we understand what human design energy type we are, then that comes with its own set of what we're here to heal from, what we're here to achieve, how we're here to live and lead our life. And because you mentioned that your version of success is peace, I'm a manifester in human design, and each of these energy types have their individual version of what happy means, because I don't believe happy is really a sustainable state. But for me, as a manifestor, peace is my version of happy. And that's the question.
Yeah, I'm a generator. I don't know.
Okay, so you're a generator. Your version of success is satisfaction. You are not here to ask yourself, am I happy? It's, am I satisfied? Am I satisfied with my life? Am I satisfied with my work? Am I satisfied with my finances, with my relationship? Because when you ask the question like that, you know, happy is a yes or no answer. And it's very fickle in that in the moment I might be happy, but then the very next moment I won't be. But if the question is, am I satisfied? There's a gradient, right? It's like, yeah, I'm like 50% satisfied, or I'm 80% satisfied. And then there's these things that can be done to improve that, that level of satisfaction. And obviously, the more satisfied you are, as a byproduct, the more happy you will be, the more happiness and joy you will experience.
And the more peace I'll be, because I'm like, I'm satisfied with my life. I'm going to feel peace now. And I love that you brought that clarity with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Generators also are, you know, they're a beautiful energy type that can get a lot done. So you are someone that the lesson that you're here to learn is when to say no, because you have so much energy and you have an open aura, people want you to be a part of what they're doing. Opportunities will come to you easily, but often that means that you're diluting your energy by giving a lot of it away and not keeping enough of it for the things that are important to you.
I'm laughing because this is what I've been like really focusing on. Like having a coach helps too, right? With that perspective. And he's like, no, you're focusing on too many things. Just pick one thing and put all your energy into that, and everything else will spiral off that. Because exactly like you said, my energy was so diluted and people keep trying to pull me into projects, and I had to get really clear on actually, no, that's not aligning with my bigger goal at the moment. So thank you, but no thank you, you know, and getting really good at saying that too has been quite a journey.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you're here to learn. It's boundaries, you know, it's the fear of missing out, healing from that fear of missing out, and also the fear of rejection. That because people, generators tend to be people pleasers. They tend to be yes men, yes, yes, yes to everyone and everything, because they're scared that if they say no, that they won't be liked, or they won't be invited, or they won't be included again. And that's just not the case. But your open aura means that you're always magnetizing and polarizing things towards you. So it is about becoming discerning, very, very clear. Like I said, being anchored into that life vision. What's my life vision? what's the soul path that I'm leaning into, so that I can start to discern and filter out everything that takes me away from that. We started with the conversation about discipline. It's about being disciplined.
Yeah.
And aligning with that soul path, because it's the only way that you're going to get there.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize your greatest currency is your focus. So if you can focus on where you want to go with your vision and focus and stay disciplined, and we're human. So yes, we'll get distracted, but pull yourself back as quick as you can and come back to, does this align or doesn't this align? And when you start to do that, I'm assuming you have been through this too, Anastasia, but when you start to realize, actually, this isn't serving my purpose or this isn't serving my vision, they just fall away in your life. And that can be people as well.
Yes, it's that purge, isn't it, of everything and everyone that just isn't moving in the same direction. And sometimes people are scared to go deeper because they're scared of losing people. And I completely understand that. There is a period of your spiritual awakening that you will walk alone, that you have to walk alone, or that you're supposed to walk that alongside your mentors or new people that are traveling in the same direction. And it doesn't mean that the people that have dropped out of your life are out of your life for good, because maybe they're on their own journey and somewhere later you're going to cross paths again and you're going to play an important role in each other's lives again. Or maybe, they will come back into your life, but the relationship will simply be different. And that's not a bad thing. It's a blessing. You want that clarity, you want that detoxification from your life, so that when things finally start to stabilize and the foundation is built again, you know that it's built on solid ground this time.
Yeah, and it's funny, I was interviewing someone the other week and they said people come into your life for a reason, a season, a cycle, or a life. And I was like, that's a really beautiful way to summarize how people do walk in and out of your life and how you meet people and how you interact with people. And I was like, wow, that's so, I've never heard it summarized so beautifully like that, which is exactly what you were saying, and to think of it that way too, I'm always at this point where I was constantly looking for a tribe, right? Like that feeling of belonging, like you said, the people pleasing, right? And I never kept friends. And it was just, I'd put masks on. That was my biggest thing. Like I'd put masks on to be the people pleaser. And then I asked someone recently, I was working with a mentor, and I asked, why haven't I found my tribe? And something that she said was so powerful, which resonated with what you were just saying, was if you are sometimes in your soul journey, you need to have no attachments, otherwise you can't keep moving forward. Because if you have all these like friends or relationships and things that are anchoring you down, it makes it really hard to detach those anchors to keep moving on your vision and where you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's beautiful when, we have a meaningful relationship or a partnership in our life that we get to do that work together. But even if you do have that, which is such a blessing to have, you still need to go into those deeper levels of yourself alone. Right? That is something that your shadow is yours. It's yours to walk into. It's yours to walk out of. So there is a little part of the journey that feels lonely and feels isolating. For me, this is also deliberately designed in such a way that it's because it's the time for you to ask for and to receive help. It's not a DIY journey. This is why we work with mentors. This is why we work with other healers or coaches or facilitators that help guide us through that part of our journey. Like if we're walking through that dark tunnel, they're the voice that's guiding us. They're not necessarily going to be the one that's shining the light, but they are the voice that's telling you which direction to keep heading into, so that you don't run back out of the tunnel.
Exactly. I love that analogy. Exactly. It's like it might be dark, but you're getting closer to the end because you have no idea, right? You're in the dark.
Or even just someone reminding you why you started, right? Why did you start this journey? You're 40%, you're 60%, you're 80% there. Just keep going. I got you.
Yeah. It's funny you use that analogy because I've worked with clients and they want to give up, right? They're like, why am I just doing this? And then I usually get this picture to draw, and I'm not the best drawer. Like, it's just not my skill set. And I always go to my guides, really? Anyway, so I'll start to draw this mountain, and it's like they're almost at the top of the mountain. I'm like, this is where you are. You're so close to getting over to the other side. Just keep going, because often when we get to that summit, we're exhausted. We don't realize we're nearly at the top. Everything just feels so far away. And it could be just 2 more steps, it could be 3 and that's why you said exactly having those people in our lives, that support team to keep us going and help us stay on track is so important. We're not meant to do it alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Anastasia, as we finish our time together, I asked my guests if there was something that you could heal or change in the world, what would it be?
In all honesty, I would want this work to be part of our education. Because this work is something that people come to much later in life, having already been indoctrinated or educated or conditioned in a certain way. So I would love for this self-awareness, for this conscious communication, for this level of understanding and understanding to have been taught to us in our formative years, because then we wouldn't be talking about healing anymore. Healing would not be something that you have to discover later and then do work on later. It would be healed out of us or conditioned out of us for generations to come.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And how can people find you if they want to work with you or know more about your alignment method?
I do have a certification for any healers, coaches, therapists, counselors that want to go deeper with their work and create lasting transformations. I would definitely recommend that they reach out to me privately on my Instagram. I also have a beautiful school community where I have lots of free resources, as well as mini programs and paid programs, which is called the Awakened Manifester. So those links will be in the show notes.
Yes,
and
definitely.
yeah, I spend most of my time on Instagram, so I would love for people to send me a DM and tell me what their biggest takeaway was from this episode.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'll make sure to definitely include everything in the show notes. And also we will have tagged this episode when it gets released on Instagram too. So beautiful. And thank you so much, Anastasia. I love where our journey went. It's always fun.
By default, it went exactly where it needed to go.
Exactly. That's why I just trust, right? Surrender and trust.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been really, really lovely speaking with you. And I feel that we actually have quite a lot of alignment in the work that we do and the way that we view the journey.
Yes, agreed. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and being in this space with me. So appreciated.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.